Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and if you haven't guessed already, we're back on with the abandoned ZX81 project. Now, I have been having a bit of a play about off camera, and I haven't particularly got very far. I've got the, where I've left it here, I've got the schematic for the ZX81 issue 3 there, pinouts for all the ICs. So we've got the pinout for the Z80, pinout for the ULA, pinout for the ROM, pinout for the RAM, pinout for the other RAM that's used, which is what we're using in this. So basically, yeah, I've got everything we should need to troubleshoot this computer. I've also got my other ZE out here, which we can fire straight up. It works. I've got it set up as just a basic 1K ZX81 at the moment. We've got the scope. So basically what I want to do is basically compare, you know, readings from the faulty computer to readings from one that works. But before I do that, the first thing I want to do, because I think at least one of these other Z80s from what I've been fiddling about with is actually bad. I want to confirm that the Z80 that I'm actually using in here is a good working Z80, because I know at least one of the ones that I had in here, when I fired the faulty one up, if you fire it up now, and it's doing exactly as it did on the last video. So we've got a raster there, we've got various bits of glitch going down one side of it. Now I did try a different Z80 in there, and all I got was just a blank screen, a blank white screen, none of that glitchiness anywhere across there. But when I scoped it, there was various address lines that just weren't doing anything, they just seemed to be frozen. I tried another Z80 in there, and I got kind of like just patterning, like artifacting in the middle of the screen. So I'm wondering, have I got a few bad Z80s in here? So we want to absolutely confirm that the Z80 that we're going to be using in this is fully working. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So what I thought we will do, we will use the other ZX81 here. Get that cable out of the way so I don't get this forwards. Now this is all still connected up, so I will I'd rather leave it as connected up as I can, because I am intending to put this back to exactly as it was when we've finished basically using it as a reference, and when we've got this other one working. So I'm going to pop the Z80 out of here. It would probably be easier if I took it out of the case, but we'll work on it as it is, I think. There we go, that's coming up now. There we go, just on that side. There we go. So that's the original Z80 out of this, and that's the RAM data board that I built that gives this computer 32K of memory. So it's got like the standard 16, and then you've got a little bit of glue logic there, which allows it to use the additional 16K. And it's literally, I didn't want to modify the board in any way, so all I did was solder pins onto that Z80 so that could be plugged in and out. So I'll pop that to one side, and now this really is a very stock Z80 now. ZX81. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to pull the ZX81 that I was actually trying on the project board. Let's get that out. Okay, I'm going to try this in my known working ZX81, just to prove that we are actually working with a known good working processor. If you remember, every other IC, the ROM, RAM and everything we've already tried in here, so we know they work. Even the ULA has been tried in this one, so we know that that works. So this is the Z80 then out of the one I was trying in here, so which is just one out of my stock of Z80s that I've had lying around, so it isn't necessarily the one that's been tested. although if it come off there, it should have been, but again, that was some time ago. We'll switch back on. Yeah, that works. There's nothing wrong with that Z80. We've got our cursor up there. So we can put that back in the in fact we'll need the other, I think we can put that back in the one that we're actually trying to troubleshoot, and we know now that every single IC on that board has indeed been tested. So we'll put that, spin it around so we put it back in the right way. We'll put that back on there. Okay, so that's back in there. Let's just give that a quick test, make sure that that's going to work. So yeah, we're back to exactly as we was there. We've got that bit of whatever's going on down that side of the screen there, like that artifacting, but that's as we were, so happy with that. I'm not going to stick my board and everything back in this because I want this as stock, as close to this one as it can be. So I'm just going to select a random Z80 off here. Well, Z80A, they should all be Z80As. Now that one might be the one that we actually put, yeah it is, that's the one I've wrote bad on. So we won't bother putting that one in, because we've already ascertained that that is no good. This one, now that has been soldered into something, so I can see a lot of dross on the pins, but let's give it a try. Let's see if that one's going to work. Okay, we'll switch on. No, so that's a faulty one. Yeah, that's not happy. Pop him out and put that with that other bad one there. Let's grab another one. This is another SGS one, exactly the same. So let's pop this one in. This one looks like it is a new one. It doesn't look like it's got any tarnishing or any solder on the pins. So let's put that one in. Let's give it another try. Oh no! So perhaps we do have a few of these that are a bit iffy. Yeah, because that's well nicely in there, and that's not working. We'll pop that one out. There we go. I'll pop that to there. And I've got one more of them SGS ones here. So let's stick that in. Let's try that. There we go, that works fine. So I think we'll leave it at that for now. We'll test these ones at a later date, but I will go through and test the rest of these so we can actually ascertain that they are good. But we know that I don't think any of them there are any good. Move them out of the way. So we know we've got a working Z80A in there. We know we've got a working Z80A in there. Ooh, that's a bit different. Why is that doing that? Let's try that again. So what has changed? Maybe you can make this out. Something there has changed. I think we definitely have some kind of intermittent fault on this board, you know. Oh no, there we go, we're back again. So do we have something that when I manipulate this board, I think what we need to... So that's changed again now. I think what we need to do, in fact what I could do, I've got the same type of... I'm even going to swap the RAM in this to a 2K, the same as that. I'll have to swap the... I'll have to remake that jumper there, so even that is exactly the same between the two computers, and then we can actually start with the oscilloscope, and we could pretty much start, say, at the Z80 and have a look at all the address lines on the Z80 on the working computer, then have a look at them on the faulty one and see if we can find a difference between the two. I mean, actually this is a dual channel scope, so there's nothing to stop us doing it both at once. So we can you know, pull address line A1 up on this board, address line A1 up on this board, and actually have a look at both of them together on the scope there and really compare what they're actually doing. So in fact, I think that's what we might try doing, and see if we can find a difference between the like I said, the working ZD here, so that's powering up, that's working absolutely fine, and the faulty one. So if you give me a sec, I'll get everything set up and we will take a crack at that. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we are back. Now I will say, I stopped the video to go and get another scope probe, and my phone went, and basically this is 3 days later, because you know how life happens. Yeah, I didn't actually manage to get back. So anyway, we're back at it now, and I've basically got everything set up exactly like I said I was going to just before. So we've got the working ZX81 here, that's all connected up. I've got that on channel 1 of the oscilloscope. Basically at the moment we're on pin 1 of the Z80 CPU there, which is address line A11. And we're exactly the same on the faulty ZX81 here. So if you can see, I'm on channel 2 on the faulty ZX81. I'm also connected to address line A11, which is pin 1 on that Z80. And obviously you can see we've got a cursor on that one, that's working fully. This one, which is the faulty one, is still doing exactly what it was before. It's still just glitching out. Now if we actually have a look over at the scope, you see, they're not showing exactly the same thing, even though this is the same address line on both computers. But they both seem to be showing something which I'd say is, you know, looks about right. It's just the one on the faulty ZX81, it seems to be dropping out, as though we're not getting as much actual data going through on that address line as we have on the working one. So, like I said, are we actually finding this is the fault? Is it just because they're slightly different? I'm not sure yet. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to go through all the address lines, all the data lines, and anything else that's really could cause an issue between the two computers, and I will stop and I will bring you back if I find anything that's looking really dodgy. Once we've done that with the Z80, we'll perhaps move on to the UL8 and we'll compare the two. And basically what we're looking for is something that's definitely working on the working ZX81, and say, you know, we don't have anything actually on the faulty one. We know where we can actually start looking, because we already know the fault on this is not with these ICs. We know that the ULA works, we know the Z80 works, we know the ROM works, we know the RAM works. The actual fault is on the main board. But if we can identify, oh, it's on address line, you know, A13, we've got an issue there, we can actually start then looking at the board, and it actually helps us trace down where we're actually going to need to start actually looking on the main board. Obviously, we also have the, wherever I've put it, yeah, we also have the schematic there as well, which again will help once we've actually narrowed down actually where the fault is in the system. So that's what I'm going to do now. Like I said, I will bring you back if I find anything interesting. So back in a sec. Right, I've just brought you back. It's basically, I've gone all the way down from A11, A12. Now A13, there seems to be something interesting because that wasn't doing anything at all on the, it was just stuck up on the working one. But it was doing all kinds of weird stuff on the faulty one. But apart from that, I went all the way down to A15. I didn't find any issues. Now I've gone over to A10. I'm going to go A10, A9, 8, A7, right down to A0. Basically down that side of the IC, of the Z80. Now I've got the good one. I've got the scope probe up, as you can see there. That's on A10. And if I probe A10 on the faulty one, as you can see, we've got virtually nothing there. We're just getting some like little random bits, but we basically haven't got anything there. Now, let's carry on. Now, I'll see if I can do this. This is going to be a little bit tricky. If I disconnect that and I take that off there, we'll switch back on. And we'll try A9. So if I go on A9 on the working ZX81 there, and we'll try going on A9 on the faulty one. Again, that doesn't look right. We'll try A8. Again, we'll go on to A8. Now this is what I was seeing on if you look on channel 1 basically, which is this one, this is the working one. And A8, we've just got this set here. This is the same as we had on A13. Now I'm not sure if that's right or not, but the computer is actually working fine. But if I try the same on the faulty one, 1, 2, 3. Oops, don't want to try and slip off. You know, we've got a lot more. We've just got that like random activity on there. We'll go to A7. A7, and now we're getting something that looks a little bit more like what I'd expect. So we've definitely got something that seems to be messing about with the address bus. Again, what I'll say, I'll carry on going through this, and then we'll probably have a look at the ROM and the RAM and see what's actually on those. Because I'm wondering if there's something, you know, conflicting or a bad connection somewhere. It's got to be a bad connection somewhere, really. That's all it really can be. Anyway, like I say, I'll come back once I've found anything else that's going on that might lead us a little bit closer to what's actually wrong. So I'll take that off there and say back in a sec. Right, well, I'm back, and basically I've been through all the data lines, all the address lines. I've even been through other things, you know, like Halt HDMI, write read, and pretty much everything looks either the same or incredibly similar between the two, apart from I noticed there was some differences in the address lines. And then it suddenly dawned on me, this is a 2K machine, this is a 1K machine, so I think that's where we was getting those little things. So apart from, like I said, a few little anomalies, I couldn't really see anything. I say apart from possibly on 1 or 2 of these address lines where there was activity on here, but there wasn't on here. So what I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna do the same thing on the ROM, because at the moment we've still got different RAM in the two. If that doesn't work, I might actually swap this over and put a 2K RAM in this one. So they're both exactly, absolutely identical. But like I said, first let's drag the pin out for the ROM out. There we go. I'll put that up there where I can see it. And basically we're going to do exactly like we did before. So I'll unplug that there. And we'll start at pin 1, which is A7. Let's see. We'll do this like this because it's just easier to hook on with the scope probe like that. Oops, excuse me. And we'll do the same with the working spectrum. So let's just switch that off while we connect the scope up. Oops. I'm on that pin there. Right, okay. So we'll switch on the working spectrum. And this is what we're getting on that address line, which is A7. We'll power up the faulty one. And yeah, we're basically getting the same type of thing. Although I wonder why this keeps getting pulled high like that. But that's on the working board. So basically, I'm going to go through them all the address lines on the ROM there, and just see if there's any differences between the two, because we're not looking at the RAM there. We're just purely looking at differences between the ROM on this one and that one, and see if we're going to find anything that's awry between the two. So I'll do that. Like I said, I'll come back if I find anything that's obvious between the two. So back in a sec. Right, I think I found something that's certainly a miss. In fact, I'll get you zoomed in on the scope. Now what I found, if I scope on address pins A3, A2 and A1, we've definitely got something that's, A3, A2, A1 and A0, we've definitely got something that looks a little bit amiss. So I'll go with the channel 1 up at the top here is the good ZX81. So I'll go on to pin, say A2 on that, which is pin 6. So let's count that down. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's pin 6. And that's what we're getting on address pin A1 on the working ZX81. Now if I look and we do the same on the faulty one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pin 6. Now that doesn't look right. Well, it's looking right now. Perhaps I wasn't just getting a bad connection. Let's try the next one down. 1, 2, 3, 6. Oops. There we go. And if you look at that, that doesn't look right. That's A2. We go on to A1. I move that down. Again, that does not look right. If we go down again, this should be A0. So I think we might have something there. So what I'm going to do now, before I go any further with using the scope and everything, I'm going to go back over the back of that board and just see if I've got any, breaks or solder bridges or anything else that's blatantly obvious. So I'll get some more magnification out. But I think we've got some issue around there, around like address line A3, A2, A1, A0, and there's definitely something there that's not looking right. So I will, I'll pull all this back apart and I'll get this over and get some magnification on it, and I'll be back as soon as I've discovered something. So back in a sec. Okay, folks, I feel a right idiot. Even though I checked that, I double checked it, I triple checked it, I've checked again, and I found a tiny little solder bridge between two of the address lines under that ROM. And I just got the solder in there and I just cleared that solder bridge away. Ooh, let me just bend down there and get the power. And if we I'll get you so you can see. Well, I can't see with them glasses on. Let me just swap my glasses over. If I plug in now, look, we've got a working ZX81. So I've spent quite a few hours chasing my tail to find out it was a little solder bridge that I'd left on when I took that ROM out, that ROM IC out. I am absolutely kicking myself, but that actually looks really nice and really stable. What I'm going to do now, let's switch that off there. What I think I will do is I'm going to try and clean up the edge connector there a bit, and then we can plug my Memotech keyboard interface into it and we can actually see whether this thing will actually work more than just bringing us a cursor up on the screen there. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'll get the camera set back up and we can have a look at perhaps cleaning this up a little bit. So back in a sec. Right, there we go, I've got you in so you can actually see it a bit better now. And like I said, unfortunately, the tarnishing on this is really, really bad. Obviously, this has been exposed to the elements for God knows how many years. What I'll probably end up doing eventually is just recoating these with some fresh solder. But first, let's just see if we can get these to clean up enough that we can get a contact on it and actually be able to plug the interface in. So, first thing, let's try. Where I've done with it, there's my IPA. I'm just going to try giving it a quick spray down, and let's just try with a cotton bud to start off with and see how much muck we can actually get off just like this, because you never know. I don't expect this to do a lot, to be honest, because of how corroded and manky it is, but we'll just go up and down the it's bringing some off actually. Can see there, but it's not really making them all nice and shiny where we're going to get a good contact on them. Again, I've got a fiberglass pen here which I'd normally use for this kind of stuff if it wasn't so bad, but again, the tarnishing is that severe on this. It's not even, you know, it's not even really making. Actually, it's made a very, very slight difference. I'm sure with hours of work you could actually probably clean it up with a fiberglass pencil, because it has brought a tiny little bit off there, but you're going to go through quite a few refills for your fiberglass pencil doing it that way. Now I did consider, I've got a little brass pencil here, and that should work, because that's a little bit more abrasive basically. What I might actually do is just go over it with this to start with. See if that'll break up some of that corrode. It's like almost a crust on top of the solder where it's oxidised. Let's go in with a little bit of cotton bud. That has actually cleaned up a little bit. I'm not using one of my good ones. Keep them for disk drives. Right, one of these. Let's have a clean up there. I mean, that is bringing some of it off actually. So what I'll do, I'll just carry on doing this for 10 minutes or so and see how clean we can actually get these contacts. But as you can see, that's actually coming off, and that's already starting to look a little bit, it's still very, very tarnished and grey, but that is starting to look at least a little bit better than it did. So I'll carry on doing that and we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like. So back in a sec. Right, okay, we're back, and I don't really want to go any further than that for the moment. I've actually spent, you know, I've gone through those. I was trying to be very, very careful with that, but it's already starting to eat through the plate, eat through the solder back to the copper, so I don't want to go too mad. As I said, what I'll do is I'll actually drag some new solder over those and make them good, but for the moment it should be good enough that we can connect the interface up and actually see whether this computer is actually going to do more than just display its cursor on the screen. So I'll get you up so you can see the monitor. Oops, see if we can get you back a little bit. And just move the camera back a little bit, that's it. And get you up like that so you can see everything in shot. Right. So we'll get the screen connector back up. And this ULA, it is the later of the two ULAs that we used on the ZX81. It's actually got a fairly decent video output. I know that the earliest of the ULAs, in like the issue 1s, they didn't give a very good video output. And you have to basically boost it and build a bit of a back porch with a bit of a circuit to really get a decent composite output from them. They seem to have got it a little bit better by the time that this like revision of the ULA had come out, because as you can see, that's actually giving quite a nice sharp decent video output, and we've got no drivers on there, there's no transistors buffering it or anything, that's straight off the ULA. Right, so we've got the interface here, and I've got my Memotech keyboard. So we'll plug that in. Oops, try not to bend the original keyboard on the computer. Right, there we go. So that's connected in. Let's get some power, and we'll see if we can actually type something on this thing. So let's plug it in. Right, there we go. We've not got a brilliance. Hang on a minute, let's see if we can get... That's better. Can you all see that on this screen actually? We do definitely have a little cursor down there. So let's see if this keyboard's going to work. Yep, 10. Print. And that is really, really... I don't know if you can make it out, but let me see if I can zoom you in. Get you up a little bit. I don't know if you... Look how sharp that is. That is really, really sharp. We'll do a shift. That's the wrong one. It's not... this keyboard does need a little bit of... a little bit of work on it. One of the shift keys is not very good. Space, where's space gone? There it is. And function new line. And let's run that. Yay! So at least we do have a very, obviously very basic. We've only got the 2K working on it, but we do now have a fully functioning ZX81 board, which, like I said, was in a building which has been abandoned for about 30 years now. So that's cool, that's excellent. And obviously we had a bad ULA, which is a bit of a bummer, because that's an unobtainium part. I know there are modern recreations of the ZX81 ULA now, so it's not the impossibility it was, but I mean it's still a bit of a bummer that an original ULA had failed. And we also had a bad Z80 CPU. Apart from that, all the other faults were probably made by me. I think originally if we'd have changed those and I hadn't have bothered. So I think that the original Z80 that I put in there was one of the faulty ones that we identified as faulty earlier on. That's why it wasn't working at that point. I'm pretty sure we'd put a good one in at that point, it would have probably fired up. So no, I ended up going chasing my tail, pulling the ROM out, pulling the RAM out. And it was actually when I was putting the socket in for the ROM chip there, like I said, I'd bridged 2 pins and it was tiny. It took a very strong magnifier to actually see where it was actually bridged. But anyway, as soon as I cleared that bridge, I fired it back up and bingo, we have the cursor. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now for this video. I think what we'll probably do, now we know we've actually got a good candidate to get a bit further on this, I'm going to take a look at the case in the next video, and we'll actually see if we can do anything with that original case. I mean, obviously where it was, it's been stood on multiple times over the years. All the standoffs are broken off it. Obviously the keyboard membrane's in a bit of a mess, but let's see if we can do anything with it, because a few people have commented that they'd really like to see this computer restored in its original case, even if the case isn't going to be perfect. And to be honest, I completely agree with them. That is the thing to do. You know, this thing, like someone said, this has got a bit of a story to it with the, you know, what's happened to it and what have you in all those years. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little update on the project. So I will say thanks for watching and goodbye.